can't just be, he's a bully, he's a piece of shit, I hate him. Why is he talking about this publicly? If you're gonna come out and say that you have a really deep-seated hatred for one of the two people running for president, if you're gonna express yourself about it and alienate 50% of the country, which it seems like it is, you're gonna have to do better than that. You should have some specific things. Like he did some real estate deals with people in New York. Let me tell you what he did to fucking blow.
I would love to hear it.
He did this and that.
Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to they, them?"
And gets censored.
Nothing I like more on a Sunday than some old guy spewing F-bombs.
This guy should not be president, period.
And when you say that, folks on Fox come after you. I remember the Tonys when you got up there and cursed. A lot of of you. Okay, well, you know, this is cable, so it's not an FCC violation, but it is still a Sunday morning.
That was Bobby De Niro promoting his new movie, Grumpy Old Man 7, More Strains. And De Niro, how stupid is he without a script? Isn't that amazing? I used to think, wow, that guy's brilliant. But once you take the words away from him, he is so stupid. Then when he goes, impeachment will make America great again, and everybody's, ha ha. How intellectually deprived he is. He's a coke-addled simpleton, you know, without a script. It is hysterical.
Does he have a big coke problem?
You know, I just read that article that you sent me about the last nights of John Belushi and how De Niro was there and just basically partied with him and then split.
A full teleprompter just to tell you how much he hates whoever's in office that week.
Oh, Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt's convinced that Robert De Niro's on some kind of Epstein list or some kind of thing like that, and then he's afraid that if Trump does get power, he's going to expose him, and he is actually going to come at him.
Of course Kurt thinks that.
That's what Kurt thinks that.
Kurt thinks that about every fucking thing that happens in the world.
I think that Robert De Niro's just got Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he's old, too. There's a thing about old men.
And
they want to yell at everybody.
And he's completely... Did you see when he went and gave that speech outside of the trial? That was bizarre.
Who told him that was a good idea?
And then he starts yelling at regular people.
Well, here we go again. Robert De Niro just got absolutely steamrolled by Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld. And no, this wasn't a scene from a dark comedy. It was real life, and it was brutal. Think of it as what happens when old-school Hollywood arrogance walks into the arena with two guys armed with zero patience and a pile of receipts. De Niro tried to play the wise elder statesman, and instead he walked right into a roast so fiery it could melt his espresso machine. Ever wanted to watch a legend get humbled in real time? Buckle up. This wasn't a debate. It was a public undoing with a laugh track. Here's Robert De Niro, once the cinematic gold standard, the guy who could scare a room with just a squint, a walking Brooklyn snarl with an Oscar. Now, he's the official mascot for Out of Touch Celebrity Hour. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld didn't just call him out. They turned him into the grand finale of a roast he didn't even know he was invited to. The man went from playing mobsters to sounding like one yelling at pigeons in Central Park. Robert, or Bobby if he's yelling at clouds, now treats political discourse like it's a scene rehearsal, except the script is nonsense and the delivery is fueled by decaf rage. These days, he's not intimidating. He's exhausting. You don't listen to him so much as survive him. It's like Thanksgiving dinner with your loudest uncle, if that uncle also had a Netflix deal and an Emmy shelf. You'd think a man with 2 Oscars and a global fan base might chill out. But nope, he's in full-time rant mode, shaking metaphorical fists at the sky like he's hoping Anderson Cooper will swoop in and give him a hug. And Joe Rogan? He couldn't resist. The man who breaks down elk hunting and space mushrooms for a living had to say something. De Niro practically set himself up, basted in arrogance, spinning slowly on a rotisserie of outdated self-importance. Watching Rogan react to De Niro's rants is like watching someone try to decode a voicemail left by a furious GPS. It's baffling, mildly entertaining, and completely off-topic. Then Gutfeld, ever the chaos connoisseur, joined in, delivering his own brand of verbal roundhouse kicks. He took one look at De Niro's latest outburst and basically said, the Hollywood grandpa is yelling at the mailman again. What makes this even funnier is De Niro still thinking he's delivering revolutionary insight. He storms onto the stage like he's about to rewrite the Constitution, then spends 5 minutes yelling buzzwords between deep sighs and espresso slurps. It's activism, apparently, or maybe just theater. Either way, it's exhausting. There's something painfully ironic about a guy worth hundreds of millions yelling about oppression from a penthouse. The same man who will fly private to Cannes just to tell you your truck is killing the planet. Bravo, Bob. That yacht you're riding? It's got more carbon output than my entire neighborhood. But hey, at least you're passionate. What's worse is he's starting to sound like a parody of himself. He's no longer the guy who disappears into characters. He's the guy who only plays angry old men because that's literally all he is now. It's like someone hit copy-paste on every character he's played since 2002 and told him to wing it. Mumble, glare, repeat. If De Niro were up for an award today, it'd be for most dramatic use of a microphone without saying anything coherent. You watch him speak and can't help but wonder if he even knows what year it is, or if he thinks he's still filming Casino. The tragedy here, he used to be untouchable. Now he's just unreadable. Every time he opens his mouth, he delivers a performance that feels more like an SNL sketch than a press conference. At this point, all Rogan and Gutfeld had to do was show up. De Niro gave them all the material. He was the setup, the punchline, and the uncomfortable silence after. You don't need to insult him, just quote him. And the roles? Let's not pretend his recent career choices are helping. His last few performances had the energy of a public service announcement filmed after 4 naps. He's no longer cast for his intensity. He's cast because someone in the boardroom said, "Hey, De Niro still has name recognition, right?" He's become Hollywood's background noise. They slap his face on a poster, pray he memorizes a few lines, and hope no one notices the plot. Watching him try to carry a movie today is like watching someone push a shopping cart with square wheels. Loud, awkward, and going nowhere fast. In the end, Rogan and Gutfeld didn't destroy De Niro. He did that himself, one tone-deaf rant at a time. They just held up the mirror, and behind that mirror wasn't a legend. It was a man yelling at reflections, wondering why no one's clapping. Adorable, really, like he just realized the buffet's out of cheesecake. But it's when De Niro slips into professor mode that the tragicomedy really hits high gear. The guy who spent decades perfecting the role of violent, cold-blooded enforcers now suddenly fancies himself the high priest of morality, ranting like the ghost of bad political takes past. Watching him pose as a society's ethical compass is like seeing Gordon Ramsay host a seminar on inner peace. You don't know whether to laugh, wince, or check if you left the stove on. Let's face it, Robert De Niro preaching civility is comedy in itself. This is the man who built his fame playing mobsters, lunatics, and short-fused sociopaths. And now he's upset that people are rude on the internet? That's like Tony Soprano leading a class on conflict resolution, or Scarface giving a TED Talk on de-escalation. The irony is so thick, you could bottle it and sell it as gourmet. And the timing, almost poetic. If you wrote a sketch about this, people would call it too obvious. Gutfeld didn't need to lift a finger. Just queuing up De Niro's latest unhinged clip was enough. The man rants with such fury you'd think someone just insulted his marinara recipe. His blood pressure's higher than the budget of one of his movies, and all he's doing is reading headlines out loud like they're Shakespearean monologues. Meanwhile, Rogan just watches, sipping his coffee, with the same energy you'd use to observe a toddler have a meltdown in Target. It's not even an argument. It's a one-man show, and not a good one. De Niro storms in, fists metaphorically swinging, and Rogan just blinks like, "Okay, Grandpa, time for your meds." It's like watching a chihuahua bark at a tank. Sure, it's loud, but nobody's worried. Still, De Niro barrels ahead like he's trying to win an Oscar for Best Performance in a Political Meltdown. Face contorted in righteous rage, hands waving like he's flagging down a cab in 1970s Manhattan, he delivers every tirade like it's the Gettysburg Address, except it's more sweat than sense. He believes he's delivering Hamlet. What we're actually watching is off-Broadway King Lear, reimagined in sweatpants and a Yankees cap. He's not debating anymore. He's arguing at random objects, random causes, anything really, like a man speed reading a Twitter feed, yelling at every third word. It's passion without direction, fire without fuel. It's like he's hosting a protest for a cause he forgot halfway through. Full volume, no clarity, and that's the comedy of it all. Because while De Niro believes he's dropping truth bombs, all he's really doing is stepping on rakes of his own ego. Each sentence is less of a mic drop and more of a dramatic slip on a banana peel of self-righteousness. Rogan just shakes his head and smirks like, what's he upset about now? And suddenly the whole thing flips. De Niro's biggest role today isn't in any film. It's the unintentional comic relief of every political conversation. He's the karaoke guy belting out emotional ballads off key, eyes shut, living his truth, while the room collectively wonders when happy hour ends. Gutfeld doesn't need to write jokes anymore. De Niro's doing the job for him. Every rant, every wide-eyed meltdown, every viral clip, solid gold. It's like Shakespeare got cast in a Bronx bodega version of The Newsroom, shouting about gas prices with a Merlot in hand. There's a saying, either die a hero or live long enough to become a punchline. De Niro skipped the punchline and went straight to being a cinematic cautionary tale. And the most brutal part? He thinks he's winning, thinks he's changing minds, standing firm against the system. But in reality, he's just yelling at clouds that already moved on. He's not leading a movement, he's narrating a tantrum. If irony could be monetized, De Niro would be king of Wall Street. Here's a guy screaming about injustice from a penthouse balcony, telling the rest of the country they're delusional, while he sips imported wine and forgets how gas prices work. So now we're here. Robert De Niro, the once untouchable icon, reduced to background noise in the very conversation he's desperate to control. And it didn't even take much. Just Rogan giving a puzzled look and Gutfeld throwing out a few snarky lines. That's all it took to topple the house of cards built on decades of unquestioned fame. De Niro didn't lose the thread, he yanked it, set it on fire, and is now angrily knitting a scarf of confusion. The man who once stunned audiences with silence now won't stop shouting, and the only thing more exhausting than his rants, the rest of us having to sit through them. But hey, if there's one thing De Niro still has, it's commitment.